Welcome to Agile Business Radio. This is John Orvos. I'm here with John Hodgson, VP of IT at S&P, and he's going to share his views of business agility today. Welcome, John.
Thanks. Good to be here.
So, John, let's get to it. Business agility at S&P. I've been there. You've been in the center of it for 10 years. Agility has been quite successful in IT. Actually, it's started almost 10 years ago, and with a lot of success of creating products faster, more efficiently, better quality. I'd love to hear maybe your perspectives on where it is and where it's going, and maybe some of the challenges. Maybe just start off with where it is. Give us a little history of S&P and kind of the investment over the years.
Sure. I think over the years, the organization has gone through a lot of transformation. I think one of the biggest was probably transitioning from an older traditional holding company into a more tightly run operating company, and that was the focus for a number of years. And you see the result of that in today in the form of S&P Global, once before known as McGraw-Hill Financial, and before that just McGraw-Hill. So I think the Agile part of the organization was first introduced on IT side, and I think that's pretty common across a lot of organizations. What the business side had focused on while IT was really focusing on Agile was lean and introducing a lot of tools. Some of them, cross over between, I think, Agile best practices. The business was really more focused on, eliminating waste. And while doing that, IT was focusing on this concept of agility and being able to produce things faster. The challenge with that approach is, those of you familiar with, trying to master Agile processes, is that it's hard to be successful without deep involvement from the business. You can only make IT so agile, but if you don't have the business front and center participating in that, you tend to lose significant value in what you're trying to achieve.
Well, I'm curious because you say that the business already initiated lean to help kind of reduce WIP, reduce work in progress, kind of be more efficient as well. It seems like there's a lot of commonality. Business is interested in efficiencies, and the IT is eventually. What didn't happen?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So you did have these parallel efforts going on, but there was effectively a failure to bridge the two. And I think, a lot of organizations rely on, a go-between, some type of intermediary. And that usually is described as a product management group or, product owners and so forth. And that's an area where I think the organization has really struggled. And you can see it historically in that, we had formal groups, product management teams, and at one point, a few years back, that entire organizational structure and most of the people involved was completely, wiped out from the organization. It's recently remanifested itself, within the last, I would say even within the last year, they've now reestablished this concept of product owner, but it's still a struggle. And I think it's one thing to have recognition for the need and purpose of a product owner. It's another then to actually get the right people with the right skills, the right knowledge, the proper vision into those roles that can successfully bridge, the business with IT.
So wait, I want to just stop right there. Product owner concept is nothing new. Obviously, we know it's kind of ubiquitous almost in most organizations. And for a company that's been investing in Agile, I guess you've been pulling, business analysts and others to try to play that role maybe, or some other roles. And to formalize a product owner, your point is, hey, it's hard to find the person that kind of you have to juggle a lot of things. You have to know the product. You have to be it's like a blue unicorn sometimes. So it's hard to get that type of person, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, it's, there's numerous examples where, you had a product manager, request that IT build XYZ, and then once given to the business, fail to meet their needs, or their wants. And then it creates a certain amount of frustration, obviously, and demoralizes IT when you have people slaving over a product or function or feature, and then have it delivered, and then the business effectively say, hey, this is not good enough. I don't want to use this. This is not what I want. And you're left there kind of asking yourself, well, what happened here? Why? We did exactly what was asked of us, directed of us by a product manager, and we executed our agile processes. We had 2-week sprints. We created stories. We completed those stories. We showcased them to power users, and then boom, we deliver it, and we fail to get adoption. Why is that occurring?
Yeah, I have a question around that. I mean, now, do you think, in your view, with all these occurrences that happen where, the product manager says, can I please build ABC? They go through a series of sprints, maybe in, maybe in 3 months or 6 months, they deliver something. And then the flip is, oh, well, that's not what we need now. How would you say the problem is? Is the problem because they weren't clear on communicating, or they were clear and something changed in the customer market and they needed to change, or both, or half and half, or really mostly one or the other? Is it because the product manager, owner, entity really got it wrong because they didn't hear the customer, or they weren't on the top of that, or did they give it right and they delivered wrong? What would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there was any one thing. I think all of the above. There were situations where, yeah, the product manager just flat out got it wrong. There were other times where you'd have a business analyst go out and do a great job capturing requirements, but of only one business team. Wow. And there was an expectation that it would be universally applicable across all these business teams. So I think there may be a failure to meet certain prerequisites before bringing the requests to IT. And some of those prerequisites could be, developing, consistency across the business groups that you want to deliver this solution to. I think training the business around the expectations of the change that's going to occur, and be able to make that transition, rather than making the technology as the driver for forcing business change. The business should have come around to a point of, hey, realization, I need change. This is what it is. And I'm looking forward to this delivery and expecting this delivery from IT.
Yeah, John, you made two huge points right there. One is the product manager role, and the mistake could have been either the breadth, meaning the breadth of what they knew. Maybe they weren't in touch with the customer as much as they needed to be, or the customer changed. And then the depth is there are a lot of different roles, a lot of different lenses. So a breadth and depth question on getting that fuel to create the product. And garbage in, garbage out, right? You give crummy information, you're going to be delivering it on it, no matter what the reason is. So that's a really big point on the getting it right. But then the second point you made is, hey, we thought maybe some kind of, through some magical way, there's going to be some osmosis of all our good work in IT, and someone from the business will kind of raise their hand, we need to change. We're going to. And they knew, and they knew what to expect in that change. So there's a lot that you just said that is another big problem too. And no matter how good it is, even delivering the wrong product really fast, they're still delivering the products fast, on time, quality, and business buy-in still wasn't there in your view. So let's, in the kind of last segment here, just kind of give your view of, a little bit more around that, maybe some things that a couple elements you think could have changed or been different that would have helped those conditions to get business buy-in.
Yeah, I think when there's an expectation that IT is going to deliver something that's going to go to a large part of the organization, there has to be preparation for that. The business has to be made aware of that. There has to be top level business management support of that change that is going to occur, that includes a technology solution. And that has to be laid out. You can't build the product, it, and then start the business transformation part necessary for, the consumption of that. And what, without kind of laying that groundwork, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And by the time you catch up, a year's gone by, and what you actually built is rather stale, and now you're in a constant enhancement challenge for that product.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we really kind of put our thumb on the problem, and that is, the effectiveness of the IT organization to build products well in an agile way, to be able to get the products out, is dependent on the fuel of intelligence that they gather. And then what happens later is, like you say, you're delivering something that's halfway there or not there, and it needs to there's some backpedaling. So the challenge remains, how do you engage the business? Because the current strategies, I believe, haven't worked. And I don't think you have too. And that was, well, maybe it's being really enthusiastic or being hopeful that someone gets it. Those strategies need to change. And maybe in the next episode, we'll talk about some of those strategies, your views. I know you touched on it earlier during our prep session, and we could kind of come back and say, what are some ideas that we can engage? Because we know that what we've done for the last 8 years or so, or 9 years, no matter how successful, still there wasn't a lot of business pull and business congruency along the way. So we'll look forward to your ideas there. So I want to just say thanks to John for your time.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again.
Thank you.